Alright guys, it's December! The last month of 2020, and like I'm just ready for it to be over. Like, let's be real, we're all, I think, ready for this year to be over. But I'm still super excited for December. Like, I love Christmas and the holidays, and it's not gonna steal my joy. 2020 is not gonna steal my Christmas joy. And because I'm so excited for December and for Christmas, I am actually participating in the Shelf Space Reindeer Games Readathon, and I am actually one of the team captains for Team John McClane, because if you're unaware, Die Hard is the best Christmas movie and I watch it every year. So yes, I am team captain for Team John McClane, and I am going to be trying to read one book for each prompt. There is 12 prompts. So this might be a little ambitious, but you know, we're gonna try. We're gonna try really hard to win this readathon for Team John McClane. Alright, so I'll pop the thing up on the screen, probably like right over here, so you can see all the prompts that we are doing. But let's just get into it, because I'm pretty excited about a lot of these books. Alright, the first book that I'm going to be reading is for the prompt Christmas Tree, and that is a book set in a forest, or with part of it set in a forest. And after talking to some people who have read this, I have decided to read The Black Company, because Alan from the Library of Alexandria told me that it is set in a forest, or at least a large chunk of it is set in a forest, so it counts. And I'm super excited. I know Andy is reading this as well. I'll link his channel. We were talking about like reading it together because Alan is going to be super excited because it's one of his favorites. So yay, this will fulfill the Christmas tree prompt. All right, the next one that I am reading is Santa's Elves, and this is a book with like magical creatures, elves, fairies, other magical beings, and for that book, I am reading The Last Unicorn. This was one of my favorite movies as a kid. And it's a weird movie, y'all. Like, it's a really strange animated, like, late 80s, early 90s movie that I highly recommend you go watch. Like, I actually had a friend of mine in Texas one year send me an autographed copy of the DVD. Like, the author autographed the DVD and sent it to me. It was so cool. So I'm excited to actually read the book. I have never read the book. This is one that I am actually buddy reading as well with Andrew from Get Right On In, and we had talked about reading the book and then watching the movie and then kind of comparing it, so I'm excited to see if it holds up. The next prompt is Christmas Lights, and that is read a book with either red or green on the cover, and I kind of have gone back and forth with this one because I have a couple like red books that I want to read, but the one that ended up sticking is Wolf by Wolf, and this is kind of outside of my comfort zone, but I'm super excited to read it. This is an alternate history where the Germans won World War II and Hitler is still in power, and our main girl is trying to win this motorcycle race so that she can meet Hitler, so that she can kill him. And I'm pretty sure she's some sort of shapeshifter or something. There were like experiments done on her in a concentration camp. This gives me some serious like fantastical Inglourious Bastards vibes, and I'm here for it. I love Inglourious Bastards. I like alternate history type like books and movies, so I'm excited to read this for this prompt. I've been wanting to read this, so it's just kind of like the perfect time. The next one is Naughty List, and that is read a book with an unlikable protagonist. And if you've watched me for any amount of time, you probably are not going to be surprised by this, but I will be reading The Burning God by R.F. Kuang. This is the final installment of the Poppy War series, and Rin is quite the unlikable protagonist. I tend to love her. I love Rin, but she is definitely unlikable. So this is like the perfect book for this prompt. This is basically an Asian military fantasy set where our main girl, Ren, is a war orphan who gets into this prestigious school called Sinagard because she studies her ass off, and she gets there and she learns a lot of shit about herself, a lot about the ancient gods, and are they real, are they not real, a lot about shamanism. And then after that school setting in the start of book 1, we jump right into a very bloody, violent war that is based on true life happenings over in China. So this is definitely a very dark series. I'm excited to see how it wraps up. I'm pretty sure it's gonna crush my soul, but I need to know what happens to Rin and Gatai and Neza, and I'm excited, and it fits the prompt perfectly. The next one is Christmas Caroling, and that is to read an own voices book. The book that I am going to be reading is Do You Dream of Terra 2. I went back and forth on this book as well. I thought about reading Gods of Jade and Shadow, which I have, that I've really been wanting to get to, but Monica at Mooney Reads just loves this book. It was one of her favorites of the year. I bought it because she raved about it so much, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna use this as my opportunity to read it because it's an own voices novel and it's sci-fi. I don't even really know the premise of this book. Like, I know the premise of most of them, but this one I literally just picked up because Monica loved it so much, and all I know is it's sci-fi and own voices, and it's all I really needed to know, so I'm excited to see what I end up thinking about it. The next one that I will be picking up is for the prompt. It's for the prompt Family Holiday Time, and that is to read one of the Shelf Space buddy reads. And we usually have a few different unofficial buddy reads going on in the Discord, as well as our main read, and I will be doing our main read this month for this prompt, and that is A Promise of Blood. This is Alan from the Library of Alexandria's pick. He is our co-host, and I am super excited to get into this. The way that Alan described this book is like magicians snorting gunpowder, and like that's the magic system. I have no idea what this is, what's going on, other than magicians snorting gunpowder like cocaine. So we're just going into this one blind because I trust my friend. And I mean, it's blurbed by Brandon Sanderson. It says, just plain awesome, Brandon Sanderson. Need I know more? The next one is Homemade Present, and that is to read a self-published novel. And Andrew, I love you, and you're probably gonna hate me, but you already know this is coming. I will be reading Immortality Awaits by Andrew J. Stillman. He has a channel here on YouTube called Get Right On In. Dude, his NaNoWriMo videos have been the funniest. Like, go back and rewatch them all. He has this series where he like rewatches old videos and rereads old blog posts of his from like a few years before. It is hysterical. So yeah, I will be reading his self-published book. I'm not really sure the premise of his book. All I know is that he's my friend and I want to read it because of how he has spoken about it. And I have to know for myself. I have to read this and support a friend, even if he thinks that this book is no good. I want to read it and support him because he is such a nice person. He is so fun and funny. Like, go check out his channel if you haven't. He does like AuthorTube and like BookTube type content, so just go check him out. He looks like Tom Ellis from Lucifer. Go let him know that he looks like Tom Ellis because that makes his day. All right, the next book is Stocking Stuffer, and that is read a novella or a collection of short stories. And for that, I am going to be reading Edge Dancer by Brandon Sanderson. This is the novella set after Words of Radiance and before Oathbringer. I finished Words of Radiance recently, and I'm super hyped to get into Edge Dancer so I can move on into Oathbringer later on in the year. this book seems to be pretty divisive around a lot of my friends. I know it's about Lift, who is one of the like interlude characters that we meet in Words of Radiance. I really liked her. She is a small child. Like, she's like a preteen girl. And she's hysterical and she's awesome and she likes to eat food. So what is not to like? So I'm excited to get into that one. The next one is He Sees You When You're Sleeping, which is read a thriller, horror, suspense book. And for that, I am going to be reading Dark Matter. This is a like sci-fi thriller novel. I'm super hyped. Everyone is so hyped on this book. It's about this guy who like falls asleep and then wakes up in a different life, but everyone knows him and he's very confused as to why his life has changed. His family and everything around him is different, but they're all confused as to why he's confused. And I'm really excited to get into this. I've heard so many good things that I just know I'm gonna eat it up. I'm hoping since it's shorter, like it's one of those books that I really want to like knock out in a session because it's shorter and it's one of those like thriller books. So it's like you want to just keep consuming it. So I'm really, really hopeful about this one. The next one is Checking It Twice, and that is to read a book that you have previously DNF'd or temporarily put down. And I will be reading one that I have temporarily put down because I didn't plan on it being a full term DNF. Like, I liked it, I just wasn't in it at the moment. And that is Malice by John Gwynne. I read half of this earlier in the year and then I set it down because I just wasn't feeling it. And I am going to be getting back into this. This is some of my friends' favorite books. Leslie at the Nerdy Narrative. Abby loves this book, and Abby Salter. Like, everyone loves this book and I just want to love it even though I put it down. So I'm excited to get back into it. The first half of it was very, to me, like slow and world building, which is usually fine, but like I just wasn't feeling it at the time. I'm pretty sure that it picks up kind of at the point that I left it off at, so I should be like jumping right into the action, so that will be great. The next one is We Three Kings, which is to read a book either with a crown on the cover or in the title. And I will be reading Queen of the Unwanted, which is the second book in the Women's War series. If you don't know what this series is, I'm not really surprised. Not very many people do. It's not nearly as hyped as it should be. I will leave my review to Women's War for you to check out because I really want you to read it. This is the second book in the series, and we are following pretty much right behind the events of the first book. In the first book, we are following a couple different characters. Our one main character is Alice Soon, who is a older mother of two with like teenage kids. She is the like disinherited princess of this kingdom. We're also following her brother, who is like the disinherited prince. We get to see her mother, who was divorced by her father, who is the king, and that's why they're disinherited. The mother got sent to what they call the Abbey of Unwanted Women and basically forced into prostitution. It is a very dark and brutal patriarchal world, and we start to see some of these women rise up against the patriarchy, and we also get to see some men take action on behalf of these women and actually help them and listen to them and, you know, be good people, which I love. Y'all know that. I don't like when it's super black and white, men are bad, women are good, or vice versa. Like, I want those shades of gray, which this series has really given me. So I'm excited to continue on and just see where we go after the ending of that first book, because it was like, oh my God, like, I need more. So I will be reading this. The final book that I want to read is for the prompt Under the Mistletoe, and that is to read a book with romance in it. It does not have to be a romance book, it just has to contain romance. Which originally I was going to read Geekerella, which is a romance book, but instead I decided to go with House on the Cerulean Sea, which was also on my TBR last month, and I just didn't make it to it. This is not a romance book, but there is an adorable romance subplot in it. basically we have our main character who is a like social worker who goes to check on these magical kids in this magical orphanage basically, and I'm pretty sure one of the kids is the Antichrist, and it's very sweet. And I've heard everybody say it's like a warm hug. Jashana did a like gush video on it because she just loved it so much. So I'm super excited to get to it and just see what all the hype is about, because it sounds so cute. All right, guys, there you have it. That is all the books that I will be reading for the Shelf Space Reindeer games. John McClane for the win. I'm pretty sure our team has this because, I mean, John McClane is just good at winning. Thanks for hanging out with me. My name is Jessie, and I will see you next time. Bye.